Welcome back to the apocalypse. My name's Freedom Shapes, and if you're seeing me, well, that's not exactly great news, okay? Something has gone very, very wrong with the world, and nobody seems to care. Everybody's just going about their day while we collapse into World War III. There's elites sacrificing children and infants. New metaphysical frameworks are being actively hidden from the public that completely flip the transformation of our evolution and where humanity is going on our head. Everything we know about physicalism is being flipped on its head. There are members of Congress warning us about hybrid alien breeding programs, something Matt Gaetz said. Tim Burchett's talking about the UAP phenomenon in a way that we haven't heard, saying that we would be shocked and the whole world would be lit on fire if we knew what was going on with these with extraterrestrials, okay? The UAP phenomenon and disclosure is staring us right in the face, okay? And it's impossible to know what information is real, what information is the psyop, okay? And by the way, all of this stuff is connected, and people still have their heads buried in the sand. Any mention of this stuff, 80% of people on the planet have not considered, okay? And these are frogs in boiling water, and they're going to tell you nothing ever happens. They're going to tell you, so what? I still got to go to work on Monday. You heard this one? You heard that one? So what if aliens are real? Still got to go to work on Monday. So what if I'm about to be drafted into World War III? Still got to go to work on Monday. Meanwhile, the executive branch is preparing to draft you into World War III. And not because they think that this is a war worth winning, right? The draft, these wars, this whole thing is designed to round us up and destroy us. The draft is designed to gather, every 18 to 42-year-old person on the planet, everybody who's capable of fighting this system back, this system that's hijacked the planet, and destroy them so that they can rebuild humanity without the threat of 18 to 42-year-olds rising up and fighting them back, okay? And they want to rebuild humanity with these new metaphysical principles in place. And no one seems to care, okay? And I never thought I would say this unironically, but I mean it. Wake the fuck up. Okay, guys, it's time to wake up. There are a cabal of lunatics and special access programs that are actively taking over the planet right now, and they're going to stage some sort of fake alien invasion involving a heavy mass object entering our solar system, and you can bet on it that that is coming. That is my prediction. But hey, still got to go to work on Monday. Snap out of it, okay? Stop accepting this nonsense. How can you read the Epstein files and just continue about your day thinking everything's fine? You think, Epstein's dead, so there's nothing more to see. Let me help you out here, okay? Jeffrey Epstein, is just one single sucker on a single tentacle of an infinite octopus of evil that is surrounding us. Genghis Khan didn't have the technology to succeed in taking over the planet, but these secret societies that have hijacked us, they do. And it's actively happening right now, okay? They don't even care if you know about it anymore because it's checkmate. They have us in checkmate. They're starting the collapse right now. What do you think this war in Iran is for? Okay, that's the signal fire for them to start Armageddon, okay? And that is my synthesis. That is my opinion. I don't know anything more than you, okay? I'm not involved in any of these secret societies. I don't know, for sure exactly what's going on, but the more that I pay attention to what is going on, the more that I see this happening. This is exactly what's going on. Okay, so in my opinion, it's all got to do with metaphysics. It's all got to do with a massive change in the way that we understand how reality actually works. So what is metaphysics? Metaphysics is our pre-theoretical assumptions about objective reality and what objective reality is fundamentally made out of, okay? And the entire endeavor of science and philosophy has basically revolved around this exact question. What is reality? What's reality made out of, okay? And our current metaphysical paradigm, our current metaphysics is that of physicalism. We make an assumption that space-time or matter is the fundamental property of reality, that nothing precedes matter. That's what everything in the world is made out of, okay? And consciousness emerges from that physical stuff. Matter complexifies, and over time, it reaches a level that we call consciousness, and it makes it that there's something it's like to be, and that's what our current paradigm says. Okay, so over the past 100 years or so, That idea has been challenged over and over and over and over again, and the goalpost for what even is physical keeps on changing. Newton thought it was made of tiny little billiard balls with mass, charge, and spin. That turned out to be wrong. Albert Einstein came and showed us that that was wrong with modern, quantum mechanics, and he showed that what actually it's not little billiard balls with mass, charge, and spin. What it is a quantum field that is excited when it's observed. Right? You see an observe you. It's an observation of an excited part of the field. Okay, and that's what we call particles. They're just excitations of that field that we observe. But Einstein still needed to hold on to something. He said that reality, has to obey two basic constraints. Nothing can travel faster than the speed of light. Okay, that's what we call locality. And things have to exist on their own in space and time, whether you measure them or not, meaning that stuff in space has to have standalone existence, whether we're there to observe it or not. And that's what we call realism. And together, we call this idea local realism. And now we know that local realism is wrong. Okay? In 1964, John Bell enters this picture. He illuminates this problem. He shows that, if you keep both of those assumptions, locality and realism, then there are some strict limits on what reality can do. And that quantum mechanics predicts violations of this. Right? Quantum mechanics, stop calling me. I'm busy. Quantum mechanics predicts violations of these limits, right? So now it's no longer this philosophical question. Now it's a testable thing. And John Bell is who made it testable. And then in the 80s, Alan Aspect runs these experiments, and those limits, local realism gets violated over and over again. And they keep getting violated in every modern version of these experiments. Local realism is violated. Local realism is false. Things can travel instantaneously. Things do not exist outside of our ability to observe them. There's something else at play here. Whatever reality is not obeying that classical picture that Einstein and Newton are trying to preserve. This is why Alan Aspect won the Nobel Prize in 2022 in physics for definitively proving that local realism is false. Either space-time does not exist outside of our observation of it, or things can travel faster than the speed of light, or both. Okay, so what's this goalpost of what matter technically is has been constantly shifting and changing over and over again. And how can we, in good faith, preserve what physicalism is if we can't even properly define what it is? Right? If we can't even define it, and we have to keep changing it to adapt to our new understanding of this thing, in my opinion, it makes physicalism completely obsolete. We do not need to stand by physicalism any longer, okay? It serves no purpose. Other than sure, looking at the world instrumentally physicalist, meaning looking at the world in a way that things have mass, charge, and spin. Yeah, that helps us build watches and go to space, but that doesn't mean that that's how reality fundamentally really is. Okay? And these ideas have been simmering. These ideas have been simmering in modern academia. And the foundation is not as stable as people think it is. And that is because you start to see this shift. Academia is moving away from physicalism, and it's moving towards alternate metaphysics. Okay? It's moving toward things like, ontic structural realism, neutral monism, idealism, panpsychism. These ideas have been around in philosophy for centuries, but now physics isn't ruling them out in the same way. Okay, and that means that emergence, this idea that consciousness comes from the physical properties and is secondary to the physical properties, is probably wrong. Okay, consciousness could be much more connected to reality and ingrained in reality than we've previously given it credit for. This idea of emergence, it's no longer sitting at the top of something stable, because now we know the physical thing itself isn't behaving like a clean, self-contained base layer of reality. It's not clearly local. It's not clearly made up of independent things. So saying consciousness comes out of this willy-nilly thing that we can't even define starts to lose a lot of its grounding. That doesn't automatically flip you into something like idealism, right? And idealism, of course, is that consciousness precedes the physical, and consciousness is the fundamental thing, right? It just opens up the explanatory space. You're no longer locked into one direction of explanation. And once you're there, once you see that picture, once you see what's going on here, you don't have to commit, your entire paradigm to physicalism anymore. And I would actually say that doing so is absolutely ridiculous. And, to commit to physicalism is ridiculous. And you don't have to say that consciousness is fundamental or that matter is fundamental. You can just admit the simpler thing, the truer thing, that our current framework is not complete. Okay, there's something that precedes physical matter. Matter is not fundamental. And if that's true, which it certainly looks like it is, then let me tell you something. It's totally reasonable to suspect that there are hidden domains of research operating with these principles that they have not publicly disclosed yet. And I think that's exactly what I think that these special access programs are doing. I think that these special access programs that have been established by the Department of Defense, this is what they've been studying. Okay, and the UAP phenomenon and these ritual sacrifices from these elites and these craft that seem to go faster than and defy our current understanding of physics, right? Those things are a direct reflection of this, and it's not disclosed to the public, right? It's not disclosed to the public for the same reason that the Manhattan Project and nuclear weapons are not disclosed to the public, right? And that's because releasing information, that kind of information to the public, would create a massive disruption in the global order in a way that these special access programs and these secret societies would not be able to contain and control, okay? Which would potentially lead to the extinction of human beings in totality. That is what the secrecy is. That is what they are hiding. The UAP phenomenon, okay? The UAP phenomenon and UFOs and crash retrievals, that is the vehicle that allowed the military-industrial complex and these special access programs to make these metaphysical discoveries. And by the way, public academia would have definitely made these discoveries on their own. We would have all had this technology on our own had we been allowed to access these crash retrieval materials and biologics and information. But just like the Manhattan Project, these beings, or these things are being studied and funded in secrecy, with trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars in funding. And it's my speculation that they've made massive breakthroughs in this area, and that they're suppressing it to maintain their power structure so that they can lord over us using hidden knowledge. This is the Manhattan Project on steroids. You can't leak the Manhattan Project to the world, can you? Can you leak the Manhattan Project to the world? No, you can't. Nuclear secrets are still highly classified. And you better be damn sure that they don't get out. What about technology that makes nuclear weapons completely obsolete? We're talking about leapfrog technology, things to defend against nuclear weapons, things to make stronger nuclear weapons. This leapfrog technology that involves manipulating the structures of reality that precede the physical stuff itself, right? They can manipulate the laws of nature itself now. And I speculate that this is going to highly involve consciousness. And I do think that these special access programs have figured out these things, like telepathy exists, astral projection exists, communication with entities, all this crazy weird stuff that we thought the hippies were just crazy nonsense people. No, this stuff's real, and these special access programs are studying them, talking to them, making deals with these things. Who the hell knows what they're doing, okay? That's because consciousness itself is actually interconnected between all of us, not only humans, but universally. There are all types of species in the universe that have evolved to understand this. And these lunatics and these secret societies and special access programs are in communication with these entities, leading the special access programs to create these transnational secret societies with all new religions, and their whole agenda is to keep us stuck in materialism. They want us to believe in physicalism so that this never gets out, so that they can have all the power and control, and they can actively keep us as a species from evolving. And because we are now on the verge of making these discoveries ourselves, they have to collapse our civilization or risk being destroyed. Guys like Jeffrey Epstein, it's just a tiny reflection of this. Why do you think they're sacrificing children? Okay, throughout history, since the dawn of time, elites always make these human sacrifices, and for one specific reason, religion. Okay, human nature does not change. So everybody needs to wake up, snap out of it, okay? Take a look at what's going on around us, what's happening around us. Look around you. This impending war, World War III, this draft that is likely coming, and when it does, we will know that it has nothing to do with winning a war, but to make a sacrifice, okay? While also simultaneously destroying every fighting age adult that has the ability to fight back against this cabal of lunatics who've hijacked the planet, okay? But do not be afraid. This is not a message of fear, okay? Yes, evil exists, but the goodness wins in the end. Otherwise, we're in hell. And the fact that we're not yet in hell, and that love and hope can still be experienced, even as fleeting as it may be, is a testament to the strength and power of the goodness. So fear not, and have a great day.